Hello, and welcome to this Empire Review. I'm Dave, your resident tech and gaming guy for the site, and we are taking a look at another one of 2017's big title releases as we get stuck into the latest EA Bioware release, Mass Effect Andromeda, which we have reviewed on PC. So, up front, and before I even get stuck into the details of this review, I can say that the weight of expectation sits heavily upon this game's shoulders. Mass Effect is one of the most revered and critically acclaimed franchises of modern gaming. Trying to be mindful of this legacy, whilst also trying to embrace the newness of the Andromeda storyline and experience, is a challenge all in itself. As always, we've tried to avoid spoilers in this review. The game opens with your character, Ryder, waking up after a 600-year cryosleep aboard the Ark ship Hyperion once it has arrived in the Andromeda galaxy, 2 million light years away from the Milky Way galaxy in which the previous trilogy was set. Before they set out, the Andromeda Initiative identified a number of golden worlds, which were identified as being able to sustain life in this new galaxy, far away from everything that came before it. 600 years can introduce a lot of change to a galaxy though, and things aren't quite as cut and dried as they should have been when you come out of your sleep, and the Ark requires its Pathfinder, which is where Ryder steps in, and the introduction to the storyline quests begin. I've got to say that it's one of the longer introductions I've experienced, and it starts quite slowly, taking time to emphasise some key points about you being in a new galaxy, and the exploration that comes along with such an endeavour. The key word in this is exploration. The tone of the game is decidedly lighter than the trilogy that came before it. You're a pioneer in this game. You're the first human to venture out into the Andromeda galaxy and its many, many stars. Instead of facing a dire and immediate threat to all life in the galaxy, you've got to figure out exactly what works, what doesn't, and what new and interesting alien species you're going to interact with in this part of the universe. As such, you'll spend a lot of time trying to ensure that there are viable planets for the Ark ship species to settle on once you've got your bearings. Graphically, the game is a bit of a mixed bag. Environments are lovely, effects are suitably dazzling, and the models are detailed once the textures have finished loading in. There's certainly some pop-in on the characters, and it can be quite off-putting when it happens mid-conversation with one of your squad mates. Speaking of conversations, there's a definite issue with facial animations and chat sync in the game. Whilst it's annoying at times, the voice acting is strong enough for me to overlook how their mouth is moving and instead focus on what they're saying, but it is far from polished. Along with the campaign, you get a multiplayer offering, which is co-op, 4-player, wave-based combat. 7 waves to complete each round, a large roster of characters and weapons to unlock via loot crates, which can of course be unlocked through in-game funds earned in mission, or by parting with real money for microtransactions. I'm going to be honest here, the sheer number of unlocks and the random drops that you get each time, coupled with the low amount of in-game credits being earned through each round, is enough to annoy me. It's geared towards encouraging microtransactions in a big way. It feels a little cynical. The game, the action, everything else about it though, is exactly what you'd expect from Mass Effect, both in the single player and multiplayer. Combat and movement feels a little bit more dynamic than the previous trilogy, and that's a good thing. Rather than having to push a button to stand behind cover, your character now does it automatically whenever you approach something with your weapon drawn. The guns feel good, the powers and everything else that goes along with it also feel really strong. All in all, it's a fun addition to a good adventure space opera. Rounding it up, I'm going to give this one a 7.8 out of 10. It's a good game, and whilst not being able to stand in its predecessor's shoes hangs heavily on its shoulders. I'm not sure that this game was ever intended to do so. Thanks for listening. This was Dave.